At 17 years old, Lena Cayuga was a member of the Seneca Nation, one of the 6 nations of the Iroquois Confederation. It is likely that this image was captured during the time of the Louisiana Purchase Exposition in St. Louis, a historical milestone commemorating the acquisition of the Louisiana Territory by the United States. Winnie Williams, a member of the Yakima Native American tribe from the Pacific Plateau, was photographed in the state of Washington in 1908. Her image is an important record that reflects the cultural identity of a specific era and people in the historical narrative of the United States. The Plains Cree leader, known as Chief Piapa, originally went by the native name Piapwat, which translates as Hole in the Sioux. Previously, he was known as Kisikawasan, a name that means lightning in the sky, suggesting a notable characteristic or significant event associated with his birth or early accomplishments. Captured by William Stinson Soule in Fort Sill, in the former Indian Territory, the photograph known as Sisters of Chief Kiowa's Great Tree records a historic moment dated between 1874 and 1896. Soule's works are highly regarded for their cultural significance and contribution to documenting history. In Tlaxcala, located in the heart of Mexico, resides a community of people whose roots trace directly back to the Aztecs, preserving an almost untouched legacy over the centuries. Prior to the arrival of European explorers in the New World during the pre-Columbian era, the inhabitants of Tlaxcala were notable for their political organization, which had parallels with a republican form of government. The photograph portrays a Bororo fisherman in full activity, employing ancestral fishing methods to capture fish. The setting is São Lourenço, Brazil. The image documents the lifestyle of the Bororo, an indigenous people residing in Mato Grosso, captured in 1931, serving as a valuable ethnographic record. This image, dated 1893, depicts a Tepehuan family in Durango, Mexico. It was captured through the lens of Carl Lumholtz, a renowned photographer known for his dedication to documenting cultures and indigenous peoples. The photograph aims to capture elements of everyday life, typical clothing, and the characteristic family structure of the Tepehuans. The photograph displays a woman belonging to the Ojibwe Nation, whose name has not been preserved in the record. It is estimated that the image was taken around 1885. She symbolizes one of the numerous indigenous nations of North America, each with its own rich and multifaceted historical narrative. Images like this constitute significant visual records of indigenous communities from that period. The image features Sarah Ayers Harris, a member of the Catawba Nation, known for her strong connection to her ethnic and cultural heritage as one of the last descendants of pure Catawba lineage. In 1908, at the age of 77, she was one of the native speakers of the Catawba language, an indigenous language that, sadly, no longer exists. A member of the Lakota tribe, particularly from the Sans Arc Sioux branch, was present in Washington, D.C. on February 23, 1867. It is possible that the purpose of their stay was related to negotiations or deliberations on treaties and policies concerning the rights and territories of Native peoples. A series of postcards from the early 20th century features visual representations of the daily life of the Meskwaki community in Tama, Iowa. These postcards provide a historical visual archive documenting facets of everyday life and Meskwaki culture during that era. During World War II, around 1944, Horace Poolaw, an aerial photographer from the Kiowa tribe, and Gus Palmer, a gunner who was also a member of the Kiowa tribe, were photographed aboard a B-17 Flying Fortress. The record was taken in Tampa, Florida, capturing a representative moment of indigenous involvement in the global conflict. The image depicts a warrior from the Blackfoot tribe, whose name has not been documented. The photograph was taken on an unspecified date within the range of 1875 to 1890. Later, this photograph was chosen to be replicated and circulated as a commemorative postcard by a company located in Calgary, Alberta Province. The scene captured by Edward Curtis's camera in 1903 displays a view of Apache lands, situated in a small valley near the White Mountain. The image records Apache tribe horses carrying essential equipment for the camp, a practice inherent to their nomadic way of life. The photograph features John Brown Jr., the son of Lewis Carl Brown and Golda Donahue, born on August 27, 1921. He comes from a distinguished lineage, being the grandson of John Frippo Brown, who holds historical prestige as the last principal chief of the Seminole Nation before their land became part of the state of Oklahoma. In the image, we see a standing man who is a member of the Brule Sioux tribe, known as Kills 2, serving as a healer in his society. He is dressed in traditional ceremonial attire, adorned with leggings and a breechcloth, which are characteristic pieces of Sioux clothing. This postcard from 1908 features Kwabazero Kwa, a member of the Ojibwa tribe, also referred to as Chippewa. She is depicted seated on a low fabric chair placed on the ground, a common type of seating in outdoor spaces and camps during that period. Dated August 26, 1877, this photograph captures the figures of 4 prominent leaders from the Mojave tribe, displaying a posture that reflects their dignity and the cultural stature of their people. The man identified as the second from the left is named Rowdy and belongs to the Yuma tribe. He played a significant role as an interpreter. The image portrays a group of athletes belonging to the Creek Nation, also identified by the term Muskogee, which refers to both their language and culture. The record dates back to around the 1870s, an era when traditional sports played a central role in the social and cultural activities of Native Americans. Captured around 1913, the photograph depicts young Arawak people wearing ceremonial attire. The scene was immortalized in the southern region of what was then known as British Guiana, which is now the nation of Guyana. The attire of the young individuals is representative of what was worn during traditional celebrations. The photo, dated 1973, portrays a woman from the Seminole tribe wearing a decorative headdress, typically worn during special or cultural events. The capture was taken in Hollywood, Florida, and stands out for the elaborate headdress, which is a characteristic accessory of the traditional Seminole attire. The portrait displays a Native American woman in a posture that evokes tranquility and a deep appreciation for her cultural heritage. She is bare-chested, which may be an expression of her people's traditions or a representation of a state of naturalness. Adorned with multiple necklaces, these ornaments could symbolize her social status or hold personal significance. The image captures several girls from the Hopi tribe, with a special focus on an albino girl in the center of the group. The recording takes place in Oribe, one of the oldest continuously inhabited villages in Arizona and home to the Hopi people. Interestingly, in 1886, there was a significant presence of albino individuals among the Hopi. Bertha Stewart belonged to the Tolowa tribe, an indigenous group native to the regions now corresponding to the far northern California and southern Oregon in the United States. She carried the traditions and history of her people, shaping her identity and how she interacted with the world around her. The image portrays the women's basketball team from the Fort Shaw Indian School, taken in the year 1903. In the photo, 7 Native American players pose in a traditional collective portrait arrangement. They are wearing the sports uniforms of that era, characterized by long-sleeve shirts and modest skirts. Taken in 1903, the photograph of the Fort Shaw women's basketball team shows them not only in their game uniforms, but also wearing attire that highlights their Native American heritage. The decision to dress this way may have been a means to showcase their cultural pride, or perhaps was part of a cultural display performed before or after games. In 1930, a portrait was made of Mary Alice Nelson, a member of the Penobscot tribe originating from the northeastern region of the United States, specifically Maine, an area rich in history and culture. The name Mary Alice Nelson illustrates the combination of Native American heritage and names adopted after interaction with Europeans and Americans. The photograph, dated 1880, depicts Rebecca Jumper shortly before she moved to study at a seminary in Granville, Ohio. As the daughter of John Jumper, Rebecca represents an era when formal education was becoming more accessible to women, including those of Native American origin, although still relatively uncommon at the time.